Hello drivers! I've been looking at this game for a long time and it just got a demo on Steam, so I had to give it a try. The game is called The Precinct and it caught my interest because of its theme and settings. In The Precinct, you play as a police officer going about his daily life, which includes everything from patrolling the city to high-speed car chases with criminals, and even intense helicopter pursuits. The demo itself offers a solid glimpse into the game by letting you play for about the first half hour or so. You begin as a rookie, fresh out of the academy and on your first very day at work. This setup works as a perfect way to introduce you to the game's mechanics, taking you through several tutorials that explain all the different things you can do. And let me tell you, there is quite a lot to take in. In fact, the daily activities on foot are extensive, with a series of actions to seek out and pursue with the right approach. Everything is well explained in the handbook and it reminds me of all the simulator games, but here in a real game with a story. You can check for parking offenses. If the parking meter is still running, you can give a fine if you find vandals and maybe run after them if they don't comply at first. Again, you have mechanics such as verbal commands to convince them, but sometimes you will need to use restraint force. In editing the footage, I realized that I forgot to read them the right before arresting them. Classic rookie mistake, but it didn't seem to have a huge impact on the game's progress. Now, being a driver fan, I was more interested in the car chases, which are also a big part of the game. Thankful McNally, the demo includes some car-based sections, including chase sequences. I really enjoyed them, but there were a few things that stood out. The car controls feel a bit off to me. Turning was way too sharp, but you can still miss a turn if you go too fast and use the handbrake. Still, there is enough traffic on the road to make it challenging, which kept things exciting. So let's see. That's why a demo is so important and I recommend you try it for yourself by downloading it on Steam. For me, since this isn't strictly a driving game, I thought it was good enough and who knows, the handling might improve before the full release, especially when they are more objective to complete the ring chases. One cool feature I found was the ability to call for backup while driving. If things get tough, you can request support from other police units, whether that's a support vehicle, an helicopter, or even deploying spike strips and setting up roadblocks. There was also an option to fire back at criminals during pursuits, but you have to be careful and only use force when the situation demands it. You also need to avoid causing too much collateral damage to civilians and property, which had a bit of strategy to the chaos. The police station in the precinct serves you as your main hub, where you start and finish your shift. Inside the station there are several rooms where you can interact with different characters. These interactions are done through comic-style cutscenes, which add a nice touch to the storytelling. Speaking of the story, it's hard to fully judge from just the demo, but it seems to follow the classic cop storyline, a rookie officer uncovering hidden secrets during an investigation. I'm curious to see how this narrative unfolds in the full game. The demo wraps up with an helicopter patrol followed by a car chase, where calling for backup is crucial since you cannot directly stop the suspect car, you have to guide ground units to intercept it. The demo ended rather abruptly, and I have to say I wish it lasted longer, which is probably a good sign. Based on what I played, the Precinct has me hooked, and I definitely be keeping an eye out for the official release. No concrete date yet, but it's expected to drop later this year, and I can't wait to dive into the full experience. In the meantime, thanks to my reviewers, ReveDimension.com, French Contact, Neuroscenes, Tekon on YouTube, Paul Lanois, Mute, David Autosport, Denis Frontier, Ponyyak, Joshua Badger, and Olanov. You can also join the Redriver Club by clicking on the join button below the video, and in any case, see you soon, drivers. Suspect vehicle last spotted